So managerial economics, by definition, is the integration of two things: economic theory and decision sciences. And economic theory, we have microeconomics. We also have macroeconomics. And under decision sciences, we have mathematical economics and econometrics. So when we combine them, it is application of economic theory and decision science tools to solve managerial problems optimally or using optimization. So this table or diagram summarizes the whole syllabus. No wonder this is one course where I can teach QM in it because it is under mathematical economics. I can teach microeconomics because we have microeconomics here. So it's a managerial course which brings these together. So I will start with microeconomics. So microeconomics, we're firstly going to look at demand theory. Under demand theory, we are looking at consumer behavior. We are looking at how you and I behave. So we're going to look at concepts of the law and elasticity. What is demand? Well, demand, unlike what others may think, is not just a want or a desire. Demand is the ability and the willingness to pay. Demand refers to the quantity of a good or a service that consumers are willing and able to purchase when at a particular or specific period in time. So with reference to the definition, there are three things that we are going to look at under demand: the price, a given period, the purchaser's willingness or desire to buy a commodity, and also the readiness. So demand and elasticity are interlinked. So I'm going to look at these two topics in one. But we are firstly going to look at the determinants of demand. So demand is estimated by about 11 factors. So what are some of the factors that affect demand? Each one of you should mention one. Number one.
The price of the product.
Correct, the price of that particular product.
What about the wage?
Price of X. What else?
The wage.
The wage under supply, because they're supplying labor force. What other factors?
The price of complementary goods.
Price of a complementary good, correct. What else?
Consumer income.
So I'll enlist them so that you can guess what they are. Okay, I've given you a hint. Okay. So the price of that good, the price of a substitute, and the price of a complement. What else affects demand? M stands for what?
That technology.
Excellent. Technology also affects. What else affects demand?
Is that weather? The W.
Weather, correct. The test of
Well,
advertising.
weather doesn't it for?
It was on both.
Does it? Oh, it was on both.
The demand for
Okay.
raincoats is because it's raining. Okay, so now let me quickly explain each of these. So economics is an applied course. You need to relate with it. So price of a commodity affects what? the demand. Holding all things equal, you guys are more likely to purchase a good which is cheaper because you have what? A rational behavior. So the higher the price, the lower the quantity demanded. And this brings about a law in economics which goes as follows. It's the law of demand. Demand is always having a downward sloping where we have the price here and the quantity demanded. So if the price of the commodity goes up from P1 to P2, the quantity will go down from Q1 to Q2. So there's an inverse relationship. It's opposing each other. So this is what makes elasticity of demand to have a negative slope, A minus BQ. So in economics, you can't leave an exam without a graph. You need to understand these graphs. Elasticity of demand is always negative because the demand has a negative relationship, an inverse relationship. Demand can also be written as follows. Q is equal to A minus BP. So this is called the inverse demand. This is called the direct demand. It is inverse if P is substituted formula. The other factors that affect demand include the price of related goods. So we have what we call the substitute goods and the complementary goods. Can somebody tell me what each of these ones are and examples if possible? Anyone?
Bread and butter.
So what kinds of goods are those?
Those are complementary goods.
Exactly. Is it good?
Substitute, you could probably Coca-Cola and Pepsi, for instance.
Excellent, yeah. So these ones are goods which can be used with equal ease in place of another. All right, if one is expensive, you go to Candolo and bread are substitute goods. Complementary goods are goods which have the same, they move hand in hand. Now, I need you to get the principles very clearly. For substitute goods, they have a positive relationship because if the price of good A goes up, meaning the demand for good B will go up. Why? Because you no longer buy good A, you switch to good B. So this is what gives a positive relationship. No wonder the elasticity of substitute goods is always positive. So let's take, for instance, we have Stakenico and Freshview. If prices at Freshview go up, people will go and demand more of Stakenico. Complements, on the other hand, you can't do one without the other. One is useless without the other. So if the price of fuel goes up, meaning the demand for cars will do what? Will go down. So this is a negative relationship. No wonder elasticity for complements is always negative because they have a negative relationship. Positive is for substitute. Negative is for complement. The other term for negative is what? Inverse. There's income also. Income ideally should have a direct relationship. The more your income, the more you should want a particular good. So for normal goods, we call them normal because that is a normal behavior. An increase in price, an increase in income will result in an increase in the demand for a particular good. And so under income, for necessities and comforts, we have a positive relationship and hence a positive elasticity. What is this elasticity I'm talking about? Elasticity simply talks about how people react to changes in prices due to demand. If we manipulate the prices, how is our demand affected? If we manipulate the income, how is our demand affected? Ironically, amongst these, there are what we call inferior goods. These are goods which, on the contrary, you demand less of as your income goes up. For instance, coarse grain, coarse salt, second-hand clothes, not because you can't afford them, but you can afford better. So there's an inverse relationship. If your money becomes higher, you neglect them. The other factors that affect demand are tastes and preferences. So no matter how much money you have, if somebody is used to wearing, if somebody is Muslim, for instance, they have their own dress code. So it's nothing to do with money. It's a culture or preference. Okay. So also we have what we call family composition, fashion. Now there are effects that we need to understand under taste, which we call bandwagon effect. You're buying because everyone else is drinking. You're buying ripped jeans because everyone else, you don't want to feel out of place. We call that the bandwagon effect. And we also have what we call the snob effect, where you're buying things because of prestige. Your friends have iPhones, so you want to be in that category. So that is part of behavioral impact. We also have what we call the Veblen effect. It's close to prestige, but for this one, you are more attracted to expensive things. When you hear there's something expensive, you want to be the only one having it. Like a Lamborghini, a limo. Once people buy it, you will not want to have it. There are, of course, other factors that are important, not because they're not, by the term of other, like the size of the population, the composition of the population. The higher the population, the more demand. But also the composition will streamline. If there's a young age, you're most likely to demand baby stuff. Old age, you demand more for the aged. The level of income also, and the distribution of wealth. We discover that we have different geographical locations, and higher earning income regions in a country will usually attract a higher price. They're insensitive, they can buy anything. But take the same goods to a low earning income, they will pass, they will find the real price of it. Of course, with holding all things constant. Others are sociological factors, like your background in education, marital status, weather. You demand ice cream when it's hot. Are we following? Anyone lost behind? Any questions at this point? All right, so it means we are following. Also about advertising, you have a clever campaign. The more you advertise, the higher the demand. Government policy, you discover that government will remove tax on out gensets, so you buy more. Expectations of future prices, you know that fuel has to go up, you buy more. Trade conditions, credit facilities, all these affect what? How you demand. The credit facilities imply, for instance, you're given a warrant, you'd rather go to a place where, should it be damaged within a short period of time, you take it back. All right, so demand, therefore, is presented in what we call a demand function, which has the dependent variables and the independent variables. So we need to understand what dependent means, what independent means. So which one depends on what, the price or the quantity? Which one depends on what? Okay, so.
The quantity depends on the price.
All right, the quantity depends on the price. Okay. The price, quantity demanded depends on the price. Okay, we'll figure it out. So we have the factors that I've already mentioned here. So demand, like I said, always has a negative relationship. Now I need you to learn how to plot a demand function. Demand is equal to 10 minus 2Q. Demand is equal to 100 minus 0.5 P. So we're going to illustrate these diagrams. So the first thing, we put the letters on one side. P plus 2Q is equal to 10. You identify the intercepts, which are the numbers preceding the letters. If there's no number, we put an invisible 1. So 1 into 10, we'll get a 10. 2 into 10, we'll get a 5. So it will cut the P at 10 and the Q at 5. So this is our demand function, which is downsloping. Somebody to help us illustrate this one. Step 1. Put the letters on one side. Q,
The letters on the slide.
QG,
5, P,
G,
let's go to 100. You identify the intercepts. What number is on the Q?
Hundred.
On the Q, there's 1.
That's 1.
On the P,
0.5,
0.5.
so we divide 1 into 100. 100.
It's 100.
100,
5 into 100. 1.
50.
We're going to cut the P. And we're going to cut the Q. P at 200. Q at 100. So it is downsloping. This is what we call our demand function. 100 minus 7. Anyone lost so far? Trying to be as slow as possible so that you get the concept. Supply also has factors that affect it. So supply has its own law that for any normal good, the higher the price, the more quantity supplied. So it has a positive slope. It's given by P is equal to A plus BQ. So price goes up from price 1 to price 2. Quantity will go up from quantity 1 to quantity 2. No wonder suppliers are eager to supply more at a higher price. What are some of the factors that affect supply?
Government policies.
Government policy is correct.
What about tastes and
Price of the
preferences?
product.
what
Yes.
was the question? The line is
Subsidies.
What are some of the factors that affect supply?
Competition.
Okay. Competition.
Subsidies.
Okay, so price of that particular commodity, they have the price, they have the quantity. So and vice versa. Quality and the type of technology. A better technology means you're improving productivity. The weather conditions, okay, they affect your ability to supply. The number of what? Competitors. If you have more suppliers, you produce more. Subsidies, government taxes, and also the price of other prices, the price of other products. If your products are more affordable, you attract more. If the sources of raw materials are cheaper, you're going to supply more. So these are the factors that affect supply. Now, let's mention what are the factors. Mention any 5 factors that affect supply again.
Technology.
The technology.
Producer subsidies.
Price.
Subsidies, yes. The price of that, yes. The weather. Competition.
Yes. Competition. Yes.
Government
Policies.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Now, ideally, if we combine the demand and supply, we're going to meet at a point which we call equilibrium. Equilibrium is simply the price and quantity at which.
Collins,
Yes, please.
if I say there's such a question, if I say seasons, maybe the season, maybe we'll give an example, like rain season. Okay.
Yes, oh, that's on the weather. Yes, that's very true. Seasons also affects your supply. So more maize is produced due to the rainy season. All right, so equilibrium is simply a point where price or demand meets supply. The price demanded is equal to price supplied, or quantity demanded is equal to quantity supplied. So this is what we call equilibrium. So we also have a triangle A and B. Triangle A is the triangle below the demand. It's called the consumer surplus. And being a triangle, we use the formula of a triangle, half BH. B is called the producer surplus. We also use the formula of a triangle with half BH. So the social welfare occurs when we sum up the consumer surplus and the producer surplus. This social welfare is also called our deadweight loss. It's called our producer surplus, sorry. It's called our total surplus. Give an example. Demand is given by 100 minus 2x to Q. Supply is given by 10 plus 3Q. Can somebody remind us what happens at equilibrium? Price demanded must go to price supplied. So 100 minus 2Q is equal to 10 plus 3Q. The numbers on one side, then we put the what? The letters on one side. So here we have 90 is equal to 5Q. When we divide both sides by 5, our equilibrium quantity We're going to get 18.
18.
You can substitute 18 in any of these two. You also get the equilibrium price. 100 minus 2 times 18. Or 10 plus 3 times 18. You get the same. Now, how do I sketch these? Can you remember the letters on one side? P plus 2Q is equal to 100. The other one, P minus 3Q is equal to what? 10. Give me the intercepts for demand. There's 1 there. 1 into 100 is 100. There's 2 there. 2 into 100 is 50. There's 1 there. 1 into 10 is 10. There's -3. The -3 there, -3.33. So this is the equilibrium price. So we're going to sketch this. Our demand function was cutting at what point? 100, 50. Our supply function is cutting where? -3.33 and 10. We don't usually consider the negative side. That's why it's 100 is 50. The equilibrium we found, equilibrium price was what? 64. Equilibrium quantity was what? 18. So if I could re-illustrate this, just bigger space, 18, 10, 64, and 100. You have a 0 there. Which one is the consumer surplus? The top one. What is surplus? The bottom triangle. So if we to extract them, the consumer surplus has a base from 18 to 0, which is 18. Let's calculate this distance from here to here. Then from 100 to 64, we get a 36. How do we get the 36? 100 minus 64. Similarly, on the producer surplus, the difference here, 64 to 10, 54. The base is still shared, which is 100, 18. So we know consumer surplus is what? Half BH. So here we're going to have 18 and 36. Here we're going to have 18 and 54. Can you help me get the figures? What are you getting? Have I lost anyone?
No, we are here.
Okay, so what is the consumer surplus and the producer surplus? It makes sense each time you're participating and you're calculating, because it looks easy when somebody's solving.
Consumer surplus is 324.
324. Then here,
486.
486. So when you add 486 plus 324, what do we call this? The social welfare is 110. Any questions at this point? So we now,
Mr. Collins, let me just see the way you've calculated, the way you found 64 in the previous calculation.
they have found what?
64.
So you're aware of how we found 18? And we substitute
Yes, I'm okay about 18.
into any of these ones here. So 2 times 18 is 36. 100 minus 36 is 64. 3 times 18 is 54. 54 plus 10 is 64. It's the same.
Okay, thank you.
So this takes us to a concept called elasticity. Elasticity of demand is defined as the responsiveness of demand to changes in one of the determinants. Remember the determinants?
Yes.
We had what determinant?
Price.
Price, good. So price
Yes.
gives birth to price elasticity of demand. Number 2,
Technology.
income gives birth to income elasticity. Number
Yes.
3, the price of a related good, which could be a complementary or a substitute good. This gives us what we call cross price elasticity. So mchibemba elasticity elunkumbwa that demand has with changes in the factors. So what is on price elasticity of demand? What is income elasticity of demand? So let me explain. So there are 3 types. There are more than 3, even there's, but for your syllabus, I'll just dominate on this. There's price elasticity of demand, which is also known as on price elasticity of demand, cross price of elasticity of demand, and income elasticity of demand. We denote them as PED, elasticity of demand, cross price elasticity of demand, and income elasticity of demand. Income has 3 letters. You can use M, you can use Y, you can use I. It's all the same. Don't get confused. So if I do this, I do this, it's the same thing. So when I go to price elasticity of demand, it's simply given as the percentage change in quantity demanded over percentage change in price. It is simply given as Q2 minus Q1 over Q1 divided by P2 minus P1 over P1. Now, price elasticity of demand has ranges. There is a range to start with. Elasticity of demand is always negative. You can't get a positive because of the inverse relationship. I explained that. If your answer falls between -1 and 0, we call that inelastic. To simplify your thinking, if it starts with a 0 point something, it is inelastic. Exactly at 1, it is unit elastic. More than 1, it is what? Elastic. So an African mind listens 3 times. Let me repeat. I just want you to tell me which ones are elastic, which ones are inelastic, and which ones are unitary. So A, custom unit or elastic or inelastic? Quickly.
Unit.
Unit, correct. B,
Elastic.
B is
Elastic.
elastic.
elastic. C,
Elastic.
elastic. D,
Elastic, yeah.
Inelastic.
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 Elastic.
C,
Inelastic.
Inelastic.
E,
Elastic.
Inelastic.
it doesn't exist.
Inelastic.
It's supposed to be negative, so it's not elastic of demand. F,
Oh,
Unit.
elastic.
Elastic.
G,
Elastic.
Elastic.
Yeah.
now I'm feeling you. So we are told that bread increased in pricing. It was initially 10 kwacha. It went to 15 kwacha, causing demand to fall down. Initially, we're demanding 20 units. Now, we're demanding 10 units. Calculate the elasticity of demand, not comment. So elasticity of demand is what? Q2 minus Q1 over Q1 divided by P2 minus P1 over P1. So what is our Q2 here? 10 minus 20
Minus 20
over
times
20.
over 20.
Then price elasticity of demand,
15 minus 10 over 10.
Okay, so this is that 10 over 20 negative. This is what? 5 over 10 positive. But it's 0.5. And this is positive 0.5. So our final answer is -1. What is our comment?
It's a unit elastic.
Unit.
Okay, unit, do we agree?
Yes.
Exactly, it is unit. All right. So we are following. Sometimes elasticity comes in terms of what? A function. Price, if it's given by, what kind of demand is that? It's called inverse. If I give it in terms of the inverse demand, the elasticity of demand is simply 1 over B times price over quantity. If you're given in terms of the direct demand, we use a direct demand function. So elasticity of demand is simply B times price over quantity. All right. So we're given the demand function as what? 10 minus 2Q. You're told at Q is equal to 4, find elasticity of demand. You're also given the demand function in terms of Q as 100 minus 0.5 P. At P is equal to 10, find elasticity of demand and comment. All right. So price elasticity of demand, this is an inverse. So we're going to use formula 1 or formula 2. Which one are we using? Formula 1. Our B is simply the gradient here. Our B is what? -2. Here our B is a gradient. It's negative what? 0.5. So price elasticity of demand will be 1 over B times price over quantity. This is for question 1. So what is our B here? -2. What is our price? We don't know. We can only compute it. When you put a 4 in there, it will be 10 minus 8 to get a 2. So our price will be a 2, you compute it. So where there is price here, put a 2. Our quantity is 4. Cancel, cancel. -1 over 4, which is -0.25. Can somebody comment? What type of elasticity is this?
Inelasticity.
Excellent. Inelastic. Now, what does it mean to be inelastic? Inelastic occurs when the prices of goods don't affect your demand so much. For instance, a razor blade, a nail cutter, you don't buy them on a daily basis. All right. The increases, of course, will affect you, but not at a bigger margin. So it means it is inelastic. You don't even know how much a razor blade is. If it's 1 kwacha, 2 kwacha, still buy. Fuel is a daily consumable. You're sensitive. Even a 10 ingwe, people with big cars will line up. That means it is elastic. Are you enjoying the lesson? Is
Very
it
much.
Yes.
doing well?
Yes. Yes.
All right. So now we go to question number 2. Elasticity of demand is equal to, since a direct, we are not going to do the inverse. 1 over something means the inverse. So what was our B here? It was -0.5. And what is our price? Our price was given as 10. Quantity, when we put this 10 in there, it will be 100 minus 5, which is equal to what? 95. So 95. So here we're going to get -5 over 95. What do you get? -0.0 what?
-0.05.
So what is our comment? It is still in elastic.
Inelastic.
So elasticity of demand is very important. So it takes me to a market structure, which is called the perfect competition. Which is a perfect competitive market. Perfect competition has a graph which looks like this. Or in the long run, this is called our average total cost. Then what cuts in between here is a marginal cost. Okay. Then we have what we have, the price. So this is called the profit. Now, don't mind this, I'll teach it in its own topic. I just want to deviate briefly because I'm interested in elasticity. So perfect competition, we are looking at a common market like Soweto market. We need to understand the types of goods that we have in there, or an agricultural shop, agri market. So the goods here are the same We call this homogeneous. Here, there's perfect information. Everyone knows the price. So any slight changes in your tomato price will deflate the demand. So demand is elastic. So perfectly elastic demand looks like this. This means it is perfectly elastic. Any small price changes in here, just by a small margin, people will switch. If demand is perfectly inelastic, it looks like this. All right, so there's perfect information in here. Everyone knows how much is trending. In a perfectly market, they make what? Normal profits in the short run. So when people are selling perfumes, okay, if you catch the market, people buy alluvion until it is flooded where the profit. Remember how you do this? You have the what? Average cost. Then half of this is marginal cost. Then where it meets the price, meets the marginal revenue, we maximize our profit. So profit is maximized here, where the marginal cost meets here. So what happens is in the short run, there's a profit you make. But as people join, your cost will increase from AC1 to AC2. Okay, causing you to only make what is called economic profit. These economic profits have a shutdown rule. If your costs go up, you shut down, you stop entering the market because you end up making losses. I'll explain these when I do market structures on their own. But I'm just printing because I want to talk about the test which your friends wrote. Okay, but some of these were there. It was about 50 questions. So this is what perfect competition is. So what other characteristics do we have under a perfect competitive market? We have many buyers and sellers. Anyone can join and leave at their own time. Exit and entry is free. So meaning there's no barriers to entry. No one will tell you, no, don't sell tomato here. Okay. So we have many characteristics of perfect competition, but at least you should know. Then we know that profits maximize when price is equal to our marginal cost. Our price in this case is the same as the average marginal revenue. Now, you may be given a perfectly competitive market to calculate. So I'll get back to the calculations of the perfect competitive market, but I'll talk about the other type of elasticity. Which other type of elasticity did you talk about? Income elasticity of what? Demand. This looks at the percentage change in what? You want to try?
In income.
Yes, percentage change in income. So
And the
Q2 minus
percentage change
Q1.
in the quantity demanded.
Yes. Percentage change in quantity demanded over percentage change in income. Okay. Percentage change in quantity demanded over percentage change in income. This is elasticity of income. So it is Q2 minus Q1 over Q1 divided by Y2 minus Y1 over Y1. So in commenting on elasticity of income, yeah, only two options, either it's a negative or it's a positive. Get a negative is called an inferior. Good. I explained examples, Saraula, It's a positive, it's a normal good. Okay. So we're told that income for a particular commodity rose from 10 kwacha to 12 kwacha, causing the quantity demanded to decrease from 15 units to 10 units. What is the elasticity of income? So change in Q2 minus Q1, so 10 minus 15 over 15. And here we have 12 minus 10 over 10. So here we're going to have what? 5 over 15. And here we're going to have what? 2 over 10. So 5 over 15, what do we get? 0.33 negative. Then 2 over 10, we get 0.2. So the final answer we get 0.7 negative. So what do you comment? What type of a good is this?
Inferior.
An inferior. Excellent. It falls in the negative, so it is an inferior good. Then we go to cross price elasticity. But before I go to cross price elasticity, we can also use an equation. What demanded is equal to 10 plus 5i. And if I given the income to be 10 kwacha. So what type of elasticity, what type of a good is this? So we substitute QD is equal to 100 plus 50. And when we put 10 there, it will be 50. So quantity demanded is what? 50. So elasticity of income, simply the slope times our income over the quantity. So our slope here is positive 5. Our income was 10. And our quantity demanded was 50. So we have 50 over 50, which gives us a positive 1. So what type of a good is this?
It's a normal good.
It's a normal good. Excellent.
Oh, good.
Just for additional information, I'm an economist myself, so I'm better in economics than in QM. So normal goods will exist between this range. All right. If we get more than, we call this what? Luxuries or comforts. So of course, whenever you get a positive, just say it's a normal good. A negative is inferior good. But just for your own information, if you've got, for instance, a 1.2 positive, meaning I'm chill up normal. You're able to afford aircon in the house, you're able to afford what? Other things that are super normal. Are we following?
Yes, we are.
So you may be given also what we call cross price elasticity of demand. It looks at the types of goods that we have due to changes in other prices. So cross price elasticity is a jealous kind of elasticity, because it looks at what? It looks at how we react to changes in other prices. So the formula for cross price elasticity is change in quantity demanded of good X over percentage change in price of Y. It's switching. So percentage change in what? Quantity for good X over percentage change in what? Price for good Y. So it's moving from one good to the other. Even this one, who remembers when you have a negative, what kind of good is this? When you have a positive, what kind of a good is this?
Negative.
The negative is a complement. The positive is a substitute.
Excellent. So you'd be given an equation like this: 10 minus px plus 4py plus 10m, where the price of x is 4 kwacha, the price of y is 3 kwacha, the income is 5 kwacha. Number one, find the quantity demanded. So quantity demanded, just substitute the figures there. So here we put what? 4. Here on the y we put what? 3. And on the m we put what? 5. Am I too fast for somebody?
Oh, yeah, okay.
Okay, so we have 10 minus what? 8 plus what? 12
12,
plus what? 50.
15.
So this will be 2 plus 12 is 14. 14 plus 50 is what? 64. That is our annual demand. So find the price elasticity of demand. Simply alpha times the price of X over the quantity of X. This price elasticity of demand, simply alpha times price of X over price of Y over quantity of X. Income elasticity of demand is equal to alpha times the income over the demand. So these are alphas. So we have the alpha for X is what? -2. Alpha for Y is what? +4. Alpha for M is what? 10. These are just slopes. All right. Then we already calculated our QX to be 64. So using the same page, I can now calculate the individual and we can comment on each of them. So what is the price elasticity of demand? The alpha for is what? -2. The actual price for good X was 4. The quantity was what? 64 there. So here we're going to have what? -8 over 64. So elasticity of demand would be what? Negative
-0.125.
What's a comment here?
Inelastic.
Inelastic, correct. Then we go to the cross price elasticity of demand. Okay, times the price of Y over the good of X. So what is the slope for Y? 4 times the price of Y, 3 over 64. So we're going to get what? 12 over 64. What do we get?
Gets 0.187.
Plus is 0.187.
One.
So what's the comment here? Since we got a positive, we can say this is what? A substitute. If it was negative, it's a
Substitute goods.
complement. Don't say inelastic or elastic. For cost price elasticity, it is what? Our two types of goods. Then finally, income elasticity of demand. So alpha is M over Q. The slope here is 10. The income there is 5 over 64. So here we have 50 over 64. What we get?
Positive 0.78.
0.78.
What type of good is this? Since it's a positive, it's a normal good. If it's a negative, it's an inferior good. That's all. So this is how we apply elasticity in the context of the types of goods. And this is a similar question that came into your assignment. So I'll send you a quick based on, if you got your, I want you to try this example. You can screen grab it so that you can comment on each of them.